February 2020 was a crazy busy month here at my house, and as a result I had packages arrive and I didn't even have a chance to open them. So I thought maybe you guys would be interested in checking out my packages.
Excellent!
First package here is from Zotac, and I actually have a pretty good idea of what is in here because I have a couple ongoing water-cooled systems that I have been spending a lot of time getting all the details right for. And one of the things I realized I needed, this is specifically for the Singularity Computers Spectre 2.0 builds that is like 97.8% finished. I needed an SLI bridge. I have an NVIDIA 3-way one, but it only lights up green and it doesn't match very well. So I was thinking I could either paint that or I could find the prettiest and the best NVLink SLI bridge that was available on the market. Requirements are that it has to be available in a 3-slot variety. I did consider going with MSI's, but they only make a 4-slot one and they didn't really have one available. This one has apparently been used a little bit, but that's okay. This is the Zotac Gaming 3-slot spacing NVLink SLI bridge. So here it is in the box. And it has the Zotac Gaming logo, which kind of looks like the RX Vega logo a little bit, kind of like a V. But I don't know if you guys recognize this logo. I don't think it necessarily stands out as Zotac to me, at least because it probably hasn't been branded that heavily so far. But the nice thing is it's RGB, so you can control it, and I can make it match the lighting in the rest of the system. It is 3-slot spacing, of course, so I can use it with the layout of graphics cards, the 2-way RTX 2080 Ti Seahawk EK editions from MSI that I'm using in that build. And we might as well do a quick test fitting here. There's the old NVIDIA one. This system got pretty dusty when all of the remodeling was going on, but it will be getting cleaned up very soon. And let's just pop it in. Bam! Look at that. I think that definitely looks better than the NVIDIA one. Next, we have this package. I'm going from small to large, by the way, for the packages that I have here. This one I also am pretty sure what is inside because two things. All right, so also for that Spectre 2.0 build, there is a crazy distro plate on the front. So the coolant inside gets channeled through that. And I was looking at that over and over again, looking at it after we did the initial fill, and I just think it wants colored fluid. And I know what a lot of you guys are gonna say. Colored fluid, particularly if you go towards the opaque side where like you can't see through it very well, doesn't have the greatest track record when it comes to long-term usage in a system like that. However, when I was at CES this year, I stopped by the Thermaltake booth and they had a couple really cool systems, including their new distro case, which I think takes some cues from the Spectre 2.0 build, but they, I think, took it a step further and made a even more massive distro plate on the back. It had some really cool fluid going in there. I talked to Thermaltake and they said, yes, this fluid has been running for a really long time without clogging up or anything like that. It's still in development though, so it's not available for retail sale. To that end, I have 2 containers here of their coolant that is in development. They're really only using this right now for display systems that they're sending off to events like PAX and stuff like that. It has a really nice, cool textured look though, very similar to like the Primo Chill View stuff that we've used in the past. Again, that stuff has not always the best track record. So this is the silver base coolant right now. It's just being referred to as LCGS, silver base custom coolant. Thermaltake does not have a name for it yet, so I guess if you guys want to give them some feedback, I don't know if they'll be checking out this video. Any fun names, leave those in the comment section down below. And the other nice thing about this, I'm just gonna stick with silver because I think it's gonna match the build really well, but you can also add dye to this if you want to dye it to be another color other than silver. Speaking of water cooling, Alphacool. I saw them at CES, said what's up, talked to them a little bit about Riptide and the ongoing things that I've been doing with Riptide. Riptide, I recently had to pull apart to try to get around one of the, actually the second pump that had failed in there. Now, Alphacool has discontinued that particular pump just because it didn't really have a good track record out in the wild. But I did talk to Dave over at Alphacool and he said, we're gonna set you up with some stuff to make sure you can do all those things. So check out this awesome Alphacool care package. All right, so dang, Alphacool hooked it up. They sent some extra stuff on top of the stuff that I had requested to get Riptide fixed back up. So we'll have to see if we can integrate some of this into other projects or other things that we need. First off here, we have a new V2 of one of their radiators. So this is a 360 millimeter rad from Alphacool. Specifically, this is the Nexus ST30 360 millimeter radiator, full copper. One of the things that I really like that Alphacool has done recently is they have these low profile caps for G and 1/4 fittings. So you can kind of see that. They sit flush. So that's actually really helpful in certain situations when you need to cap an open G and 1/4 fitting, but you also need to not take up any extra space. They just got little flat head mounts on there so you can remove them or add them back. And I kind of wonder if this has cross-flow capabilities because it's got a cap down on that end as well. I'm not going to assume that, but maybe. So next I'm going to open these, and these are actually the things I requested specifically to solve my issues, hopefully, with Riptide. The main issue was with the pump failing, I switched over to a D5 based pump, and Alphacool does have those. They're called VPP 655. They're available as a single pump unit by itself without the top on, so you can pop them into an existing D5 mount based acetal or whatever kind of cap that you might have on there. So that's convenient, easy swap-ins for those. So I got a couple of those, and D5 pumps are just the ones that have been my favorite in my experience, and they've been very reliable for me in lots of the other builds I've done, so that's what I want to stick with. However, what I discovered about the D5 pumps versus the Alphacool VPP 755 pumps that I was using before is these are actually a little bit taller by, I don't know, maybe a centimeter or so. That meant that what I had done with the mounts on the brackets on Riptide before, which allowed me to mount the unit just a little bit lower, gave me just enough vertical clearance to have those mounts on there with the pumps feeding back into these pretty cool looking double helix reservoirs. And these are called the Eisball Helix 250. And I use fittings to come up off of the mount for the pump to go into there. Or technically that's going out of there and into the pump. And then up here on top, the top cap only has mounts on top. So I had to have some fittings coming off of that for the inlets. This vertical clearance was the issue. And this was actually right up against the fans for the massive top. And this was actually just barely giving enough clearance for that massive top 420 millimeter radiator, which is a 3 triple by 140 with push-pull fans on it. And I don't want to remove the radiator. I don't want to go with the slimmer radiator. I don't want to not go with push-pull fans. I feel like it's a good solution there, but I do need to get myself a little bit more vertical clearance. And to solve that, I have more of those reservoirs. This is the old one, has been cleaned. This is the new and fresh one. But my solution for this problem, and I hit up Alphacool to see if they might just have spare caps like this available, and easiest way was for them to just send me completely new reservoirs. But that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take the bottom caps off of these two new reservoirs, or perhaps take the bottom caps off of my existing reservoirs and use these new super clean ones. The beauty of these bottom caps are that they have side outlets or inlets or however you want to call that, whereas the top does not. I'm going to take the bottom caps, the new ones, I'm going to put them up on top. That will allow me to go in the side rather than having that fitting on top, and that should give me plenty of clearance to remount everything in the system, very similar to the way it was before with D5 pumps. And then, hopefully then, I can actually get Riptide out here set up the way it will hopefully be long-term, unless I get a TRX 40 board and I upgrade to Threadripper 3. We'll figure that out later. And then I can also hopefully do that promised sexy B-roll of that system, because I never really did like final really nice footage of it after it was all assembled, and I'm looking forward to doing that. Alphacool also sent over some more of their flexible tubing, and I really like this stuff because it's not completely clear. It's kind of bluish and it's kind of frosted. So this is the same exact tubing I already used for Riptide, so just making sure I don't run out or anything like that, or I have a little bit left over for future projects. And I will say in particular, if you're not into the look of flexible tubing, if you really like the look of like rigid tubing and stuff, I totally see where you're coming from. Flexible tubing is much more flexible though, and it's a lot easier to reconfigure stuff if you need to. Or in my situation, I have a bunch of quick disconnects, which has been a lifesaver with some of the pump failure issues that I've had, because it allowed me to reconnect things to have everything running off of one pump. But this frosted tubing, I think looks really good, especially if you have some RGB lighting behind it. These I was not expecting, so kind of curious to check them out. These are two, I believe, CPU blocks, as far as I can tell. the Alphacool Ice Block XPX Aurora Pro Plexi Digital RGB. All right, so I thought these were the same block, but they're two variants of blocks with similar, I guess, aesthetic capabilities because they both are addressable RGB. This is the XPX Aurora Pro. Pro here has a larger contact plate as well as it looks like a significantly larger fin array there inside. This is made for Pro sockets. So this will fit LGA 3647 as well as LGA 2011 and 2066 on Intel side. And then this will also fit Threadripper sockets for Threadripper 2, Threadripper 3, as well as I believe AMD EPIC sockets that use the same socket layout as Threadripper. They're both available in chrome or black finish. So the Pro version here we're looking at has the chrome finish around the edge, which I think looks pretty cool. Black accent on top, Plexi top plate, and then because it's got this wire going in the side, it is going to have RGB LED lighting. I'm not going to have a chance to light it up right now, but you can at least kind of get a look at the box there, and that should give you an idea of how it will look when lit up. And that is addressable RGB lighting. Yeah, real nice large contact plate there, which is really helpful, I think, in particular for your Threadripper options. Meanwhile, here is your mainstream solution. This is the Aurora Edge instead of Pro. Still the Plexi Digital RGB. Still has addressable RGB lighting in there. More of a square design, so this is going to fit your mainstream sockets for both Intel or AMD. So if you want to cool like a 3950X or something like that with this, you can do that. It comes with all the hardware to mount it to either a mainstream Intel or AMD socket. This one is also, I believe, compatible with high-end Intel desktops. So this one will work for LGA 2066 or LGA 2011-3. And we have AMD AM4 support as well as all the way back to AMD socket 939 and socket 754. How many of you guys are in the market for a water block for your socket 939 motherboard? Design for the top is similar, not exactly the same because it's more of a square than a rectangle design, but you got black and then the inlaid in the Plexi there, and then this one is the black finish versus the chrome. And I will say it's kind of a nice matte black on there, which I think looks pretty clean as well. Now, I of course cannot speak as to the performance of these blocks, but I can say they look pretty nice. They look well put together, and they both are quite hefty. Plenty of copper in there. That can't be a bad thing. And the final thing in our Alphacool package is the Alphacool Eisball. Ice balls. Kind of reminds me of blue balls a little bit. Is that taking it too far? Who knows? This is a digital RGB solution. That's honestly all I really know about it so far. Oh, it says it's D5 ready, so maybe this is a pump mount. Oh. Oh, wow. Look at that. It's like a hamster ball. Actually, you know what this is kind of reminding me of? Kyle and I did the live show last week, and we talked about them using locusts, cyborg locusts, to sniff out bomb materials and stuff like that. And the cyborg locusts, they have to put them in little vehicles to move them around places, and this totally could be one of those, I think. Just needs some wheels on the bottom. So this is a reservoir, a unique reservoir. It's circular rather than tubular. This is kind of fun though. It's got a G and a quarter fitting there on the top. There's also an in and an out here on the side, also G and a quarter. There's a chrome band that wraps around the outside, and inside that chrome band is again addressable RGB LEDs to light up your liquid, light up your fluid. And then on the bottom, it's got a more typical D5 mount solution here. So you would take your pump, and I believe, I'm not 100%, but Alphacool is working on a new version of their in-house pump, which should still conform to this D5 mounting standard. So to be more specific, the top G and a quarter opening there, they're saying is the fill port. Then you've got your in and outs here on the side. Then you take your D5 pump and install thusly. And then you would take your cap and screw that into the bottom to secure it. And there you go. Now you got a pump reservoir combo. So I think that's a pretty cool, unique idea and design for a pump reservoir combo, and certainly solves maybe some of the vertical clearance issues with some of the taller ones, but of course it's a bit wider. So you'd have to make sure that you have spot in your case to fit something that's this girthy. And then they do include a bracket here so you can mount, I believe this would work on either 120 millimeter or 140 millimeter fan. Just mount the pump reservoir to that, then mount that up to your fan. And then I guess you could maybe even go sideways or something like that. I was exploring the accessories here and I found this big wide piece of Velcro, actually two-sided piece of Velcro like that. And I was like, wait, why is that there? Alternative mounting solution. They have this single plate by itself, which you could use for various things, but you can mount to that and then stick that to your Velcro and then have a Velcro mount for your pump reservoir, which I think would work just fine since it is a fairly substantial piece of Velcro. Then you'd probably just be reliant on the adhesive not getting warm and wearing out over time. But good though that they have included various solutions for mounting a somewhat unique pump reservoir unit into your case. I have, well, technically I have two more boxes over here. This one is not for me though. This is an outgoing box, chewy.com. This is where we get canned pet food and stuff like that. But no, this box is being shipped to Wendell. It's a care package for Wendell. I'm gonna be shipping that out really soon. I just thought I'd show you guys. I have no idea if he will actually do anything with what's in that box, but now you know that I'm sending him something. Meanwhile, one last box here to open, and just being honest, this is not tech. No, these are adult beverages, and it's the fancy adult beverages, no less. This is from Gainey Vineyards, which is a little bit north of here. We got some Sauv Blanc. We got some Merlot. They make a real solid Merlot there. And we have more Sauv Blanc. I guess we will be feasting on the Sauv Blanc soon. But guys, I think that is going to wrap it up for this video. Thank you for indulging me as I open some of the packages that have arrived over the past couple weeks. And I hope you're as excited as I am about moving forward with some of the projects that some of this hardware has arrived to help me complete. Also, the Eisball here. Do you guys have any ideas for this? I feel like this should be sort of the start of a new system, like build something around this that really features it well or something like that. I could think of a few things like a crystal ball or something like that. Joe wanted to make it a witch's cauldron. Are you allowed to put dry ice in here or something? I don't know if that would work with the loop. But anyway, if you've got any ideas, leave them in the comment section down below. Thank you very much again for watching this video, guys. If you want to hit the thumbs up button on your way out, I would greatly appreciate it. And don't forget to check out my store at paulshardware.net. Links in the description. You can buy shirts, mugs, pint glasses, and lots of other sweet merch. We'll see you guys in the next video.